everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's Kai, and today I have for you a fun Valentine's Day strawberry shortcake themed set. I personally am a huge dessert lover, and that's one of my favorite things about Valentine's Day is an excuse to eat all of the sweets that I want. And so I wanted to bring some of that love for everything sweet and pastry to a nail set. Sweetie Nail Supply was also kind enough to gift me a couple of collections to show for you all. So if that sounds good to you, please consider subscribing if you already are. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you checking out my video. And let's go ahead and get into the nail design. Okay, so here is my inspiration board. I have mainly pulled inspo from these products here. These are the Flower Nose compacts. It is their new Strawberry Cupid release. I personally have never actually used a Flower Nose product. I just absolutely love their packaging. So stunning. I had seen these when they released, I think back in November, and I knew I had to do a set based around them. It's just a like strawberry shortcake theme, which I thought was perfect for Valentine's. I was lucky enough to be sent the PR from Sweetie Nail Supply that I reviewed in my last video. And all of those collections just lent themselves so well to this sort of aesthetic. So this is the overall design I came up with. Very romantic, very classy, but still like Valentine's Day themed. I wanted to throw in elements of strawberry shortcake. I know the cake look has been really popular as of late. I unfortunately do not have any of the cake molds, so I will have to do everything by hand, but I am up for the challenge. So the first nail I designed was this one here. I was going for like vintage cake looks with the 3D frosting, some 3D icing lines, and then this part will be the doughy moon gel for that nice like pearlescent swirly texture. This part will be the, why am I blanking? Oh, the Rosy Hip Collection red color. The first one, I believe it's RM03. I'll make sure to put all the products in the description below. This nail here, same base color, that Rosy Hip magnetic gel. And then I have some angel charms that I want to use. For this nail here, it will have the doughy moon base, but then this little like swatch of color there is actually going to be from the Agate edition. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using Sardonyx yet or Cherry Blossom, but one of these reds from the Agate edition, I want to do like a 3D swipe of gel just to look like strawberry jam. I think that would be really fitting for the strawberry cake theme. I'm thinking I want it to look kind of like this, right? Like a nice, juicy, yummy, delectable strawberry cake. And then I'm hoping to do some like little frosting swirls on top. These are just pearls and some little caviar beads. For the pointer finger, I'm thinking I want to paint strawberries. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do them yet, but I know I want some strawberries in the middle, some maybe like frosting texture here with, again, more caviar beads and pearls, and then that doughy moon white in the background. And last but not least, for the thumbnail, I have this really large like heart charm. I want like a heart charm here, and then I want to add some nice filigree patterns, maybe with the same like frosting paint that I'll be using for this nail right here. I'm not sure yet. All I know is I want it to have like the heart charm, the white accents, and then the background, of course, will be that same magnetic gel from the Gemstone collection. So in terms of inspiration, these are all of the Flower Nose compacts, and this one is here too. Just some random cake pictures I found online for inspo when it comes to the icing patterns. And then these three here are all creators that I follow. So I think it's Hui Nailed It. Did these amazing viral cake nails recently. I think I'm going to potentially borrow her method of like laying down a little dollop of 3D gel and then using some sort of embossing gel to make the grooves in the frosting. I'm not sure. I will try to hand mold it first, and if that doesn't work out, I'll go with that method. So that's her Instagram at. These I just wanted to pull up for some inspiration when it comes to the actual filigree design, and that is from Glam Goth. She does amazing nails, amazing press-ons, and then of course I think it's oh, I don't even know how to pronounce this, but here is her Instagram at, I think it's BV, but she does incredible, like amazing painted portraits and just absolute masterpieces. She does custom press-ons. Highly recommend you check her out. And this is sort of like the inspo for the overall aesthetic that I'm going for. We'll see how it ends up. I do have these available, this template that I actually made on Canva. I will put it linked below. You just have to make your own copy in order to edit it, but happy to have you all use it if you feel like it will help you stay organized. So yeah, that's kind of it. I feel like I've talked enough already, so let's go ahead and get into which supplies I'm using for the set. Okay, so in terms of products, here is everything that I will be using. Starting off with the base coat. So I did want a smooth base. I'm using the Mayo Long Base Gel. It is a thicker consistency, but a nice option. And then I will be using the May Mode Matte Top Coat for the chrome designs that I have planned. The Mayo Glass Top is one of my absolute favorite top coats that is a thinner consistency for covering and protecting chrome. For a primer, I am going to be using the Apres Tip Primer. This is just for nail tips, definitely not your natural nails, as it does contain HEMA. Now, in terms of decorative products, one of the stars of the show will be the Doughy Moon collection. This is number 1, the white color, and it is a super interesting separating texture gel. I did recently do a full review that I will have linked up in the corner if you want to check out all of the swatches for that collection. But this will be one of the base colors. Another base color will be from the Rosy Hip Gemstone collection. I also swatched these in that video if you want to see the full results. But this is just a red cat eye magnetic gel. And then for 3D gels, I am using my Cris Clay. This is in white. You really want like a stiff consistency white clay for the frosting effect. And then I wasn't sure what I wanted to do yet for the chrome, so I did pull out my Cocoist non-wipe accessory bond in white. You'll need some sort of gemstone glue. I love the Ivy Fix gel. I do not like it in the tube though. I will talk more about that in the video. And for like a 3D textured frosting gel, I'm using the Divock White from the Canvas set. You can buy this individually though off the Sweetie Nail Supply website. For more texture and that 3D look that I was going for, these are the Agate edition from the Favori. These are also swatched in that video that I mentioned before. And then for decorative elements, I have these super glittery large heart charms here. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to use those though, so I pulled out some other options. You do need though some pearls and some silver caviar beads. I pulled out both of my chromes from Nail Bio, the gold and the silver, because I wasn't quite sure which one I was going to use yet, but both are really nice. And then last but not least are these cute little bows that I showed off in a recent Temu haul, and I'm super excited to get to use them. So those are the major decorative elements and polishes. In terms of tools, here is what I would suggest having. I do have 2 painting spatulas. These are specifically for painting. They're not like nail art tools, but I find they're really great for applying 3D gels. And then I do use quite a few liners throughout this look. So I have here just the Sweetie Nail Supply liner 1 and 2. One that's shorter, one that's longer. You will probably want a blending brush for the Crisania clays. So this is just like a square-ended blending brush. Super soft from Doughy. And last but not least, my favorite liner ever. This is the short liner from Diami. It is so small and so precise for getting those tiny details. And then you'll want some sculpting tools. These ones are the precision ones from Crisania Neri. The heads on these are much smaller than your average sculpting tool. And then you will want some dotting tools just for painting and sculpting as well. So I have a variety pack here. Those are the supplies that I would recommend having. And now that we've gotten all of that over with, we can get into the actual design. So I'm starting here by prepping my Diami corn tips. I actually just got these recently, and so far I am loving the shape. They fit my natural nails so well because they are a little bit more curved than most Korean nail tips. I did end up rounding out the edges for more of an almond shape, but I'm super pleased with them so far. Here I'm just buffing in the surface with a little bit of primer from Apres. This is a primer that contains HEMA, so I try to wear gloves as much as possible when working with gel. Speaking of which, if you are new to gel at home, please make sure you're doing your research on how to properly handle gel. Wear gloves as much as possible, avoid contact with your skin. And if you do get it on your skin, then just make sure to wash it away with some acetone or gel remover as quickly as possible so that we can all continue enjoying gel allergy-free. So once all of my nails are prepped, I am going to go in with the Mayo Long Base Gel. This is just kind of like a regular base gel. I personally wanted a smooth finish to these nail tips to paint over because I knew I was going in with a magnetic gel. When you are painting with magnetic gel, you really want as smooth as possible of a surface. Otherwise, if there are lumps and bumps, then you will capture some of that texture with the magnet particles when you do magnetize them. So I'm just smoothing everything out and then curing for 30 seconds. And then for my first color layer, I'm going to lay down a layer of the Rosy Hip RM03. This is the gorgeous sort of like red with a magenta undertone magnetic gel. This is a sheer jelly-like polish. I would say you're good to do 2 coats of this. This is just one thicker coat and already you get some really nice coverage. But if you want a little bit of a deeper tone, I would recommend 2 coats. I am completely demagnetizing this first layer because I want the shine to be on the surface. I have heard that you can use this by laying down one layer, magnetizing it, and then laying down a second layer and demagnetizing the second layer. I'll have to play around with that because it does sound pretty cool, but I do really like the finish when you do one layer non-magnetized and then a layer over it that is magnetized. You really get to see a lot of those red glitters poking through along with that gorgeous shine. I'm just going around the edge of the nail tip here with my round magnet, and this creates that spotlight effect. I just needed a nice base for the art on top, and so I didn't go too crazy with the magnetization pattern, but I love this look. And now it's time for the Doughy Moon Gel. So this is number 1. It's the white, and I will be using this on the pinky and the pointer. Now, slight trypophobia warning, this gel is such an interesting one because it has a special effect where it creates the look of like holes or craters in the gel. It just starts separating once you lay it down. And I think that is such a cool way to add dimension and texture really easily to a nail. All I did was paint down a coat, sort of swirl it around a little bit, and I get this awesome effect here. I love this stuff. I'm so excited to play around with it. Again, I do have full swatches in my last video if you would like to check that out. For the middle finger, I'm going back in with the Rosy Hip Gemstone Collection Gel. I'm doing the same thing on the middle finger as the thumb, so one coat that I fully demagnetize, cure, and then a second coat over it that I'm going to magnetize. It is so easy to lay down a really nice even coat of this because it is just a lovely consistency. And then I just pass the bar magnet sideways and perpendicularly over the whole nail surface, and you get this lovely jelly glitter effect. And then here's the second coat, which I will magnetize. This time I'm going to magnetize just one side of the nail, so I'm bringing all of the particles to one edge with my round magnet, and this creates a super nice beveled effect where it shifts from side to side. For the ring finger, I thought I would do a French between the magnetic gel and the Doughy Moon Gel. So I'm just painting on here my smile line. I'm just going in with the actual brush included in the bottle and getting down the initial shape. I'm just adding some extra gel wherever I feel like it looks a little sparse. And then to clean up the smile line, this is the Doughy brush number 3 from the old collection. I'm not sure what it would be in the new collection. I'll make sure to leave it up in the corner, but It is just a really nice soft brush that I love doing cleanup with. Once I have my smile line the way I want it, I'm just making sure that gel layer is even. And then I demagnetize everything and give it a full cure. I fully cure it before adding the French tip just because I don't want those colors to accidentally mix. And I'm going in with that same Moon Gel #1 and just painting on my French. This was a little bit easier, a little more forgiving to do. And so I just add a little bit of extra gel to the tip, roll it around, and layer 1 is done. For layer 2, I really only needed more of the magnetic gel. The doughy Moon Gel is pretty opaque, so I just go in once again and cover up the nail plate area, and then I'm taking a bar magnet and I'm holding it parallel to each side to pull the pigments to the surface, and then I will hold it perpendicular to the nail but slightly angled so that you get that nice French line in your magnetic gel. The pinky finger is much the same as the pointer finger, just laying down a layer of that Moon Gel. Here you can really see how nicely it separates. If you want to do, again, a thinner layer, it's going to give you more sheer coverage and you'll see more of the color underneath. Since I'm going for kind of like a frosting look, I put on a pretty thick layer, added those swirls, and I love the texture that it gives. These gels are honestly so cool, and I am so excited to see what other colors they might release. I'm personally hoping for like some pearlescent darker colors. I think those would make super cool, like alien, cyberpunk type themed nails. But yeah, those are the base colors done, and now I am just wiping away the tacky layer on all of these nail tips. For cleanser, I personally just use 90% isopropyl alcohol. I try not to do 70 just because there's more water in that, so if you can find 91%, that's going to be your best bet. And now it's time to add some texture. I personally really love a textured nail art look. Part of why I like 3D nails is because of the depth that it gives. So I'm going in with my Divock canvas painting set and just pulling out the white. If you can't tell, I use this quite often. I'm actually due for a refill, and you can buy just the white in a pretty big pot on Sweetie Nail Supply. So that's probably what I'll get next time. I like applying this with a spatula. I think it does a great job of preserving that texture. So this is literally just a painting spatula that I think I got maybe from Michael's, if not just I ordered it off of Amazon. But I'm spreading it here over the middle of the pointer finger. I don't want to cover the whole nail. I still want some of that pearlescent gel from the background to show through. So I'm doing just like a spread of it in the center. And once I like the shape, I will fully cure it because I'm going to go in over it with the Agate edition from the Favori. This is another super cool textured 3D gel, except these have a jelly finish. I was premiering a swatch video for this, and somebody in the comments said it looks like the texture of Vaseline, and honestly that's the perfect descriptor. It's like a Vaseline, but maybe just a little bit more tacky. So I'm taking that color, that one is the cherry blossom color, and I'm just using another palette knife and creating vague strawberry shapes on this nail. I decided I wanted to mix in a little bit of Sardonyx, the red color, just for some depth in the tone. I mixed together the red and the magenta color for kind of like a more true strawberry color. I just love how it looks exactly like a fruit jam. I think it's so fitting for this look. And then before curing it, I had the idea of using little teeny tiny caviar beads as the seeds. And so I'm just sticking them straight into the gel that is uncured. I like to take a liner brush and dip it in just like a tiny bit of gel to pick up the caviar beads. They stick really nicely that way, and then I can manipulate them into place. Honestly, I'm not sure I love how this looks. I did kind of like try to push them down into the 3D gel to create that indent that the seed makes in a strawberry. But overall, I don't know. I don't love the look, but I left it because I'm trying to get more comfortable with trying out new things and being okay if they don't work out the way I want them to. I am currently actually finishing the voiceover for this video right before posting it, and so sometimes I just need to learn how to accept that some of the things I try aren't going to be my favorite, and that's okay. For the leaves on the strawberry, this green was just a little bit too vibrant, so I mixed it up with a tiny bit of the red. And because red and green are opposite on the color wheel, it just kind of muted that color just a little bit. Honestly, I think I could have gone a little bit further because when I paint it on, it still looks pretty vibrant, but that's okay. Overall, I like how it ended up. That's the nice thing about these gels, is that you can mix them together to get different color tones. Honestly, you could probably even mix in like a normal jelly polish to change the tone a little bit. You wouldn't want to use a regular cream polish because it would take away from the jelly effect. But I'm super excited to play around with these and experiment more because I think they're just so cool having that 3D texture in a jelly form. And to finish off this nail, I am just taking some pearls and sticking them into some uncured white texture gel and then curing everything together. Unfortunately, I was off frame while doing most of this, but that is it for the pointer finger. Onto the pinky finger, I'm doing the same sort of thing with that texture gel and the palette knife. I'm just adding like a curved smear of this on the cuticle side of the nail. I'm kind of trying to mimic how chefs will decorate plates in like cooking shows or fine dining situations with like that smear of the sauce. And so I cure the white layer and now I'm going in with a smear of the red layer. Sorry if you hate that word, I kind of don't like it, but I'm not sure how else to describe this, honestly. But once I have it where I think it looks good, I am going to not cure, but move on to making my 3D elements. For the 3D frosting, I'm going to be using the Crisp Clay 3D gel in white. I love this stuff for shapes that I know will need a lot of definition because it really holds its shape. It doesn't level out or anything unless you manipulate it to. My initial thought was to do kind of like these swirls here on top of the flower nose compact. I, however, could not figure out a good way to do this by molding it. I tried doing some indents with like a dotting tool here, but it wasn't turning out the way that I wanted. I think I was trying to work too small for the effect. So I end up going in with just a little lump of the Crisp Clay. I'm smoothing it into kind of like a pointed dome shape. And then I'm going to cure that, stick it onto the nail, and then paint on the swirls instead. So I fully cured that and now I'm attaching it into that uncured red gel, placing it how I like it, adding in some more of those faux pearls and some of the caviar beads before curing that red gel. That will help stick the stuff into place. I will top coat over everything, but first I just want to make sure that it's all attached. And then I'm going in with a liner brush. This is just the Sweetie Nail Supply liner, and I start painting on those swirls with the Divock canvas gel. Now, in hindsight, I think maybe a different gel would have worked a little bit better for this. Just because that canvas gel is so textured, it tends to clump together, which is part of why it's so textured and nice for getting that painted look. I think maybe if I'd used a slightly smoother embossing gel, this process would have been easier, but you live and you learn. So I'm just following the curvature of the little 3D shape that I had molded and painting swirls that meet in the center so that it looks like one of those dollops of frosting. Hopefully the vision is coming through here. For the ring finger, I am going to be using that same 3D clay and I'm just rolling it out into really, really thin strips or logs because I want to do like the vintage cake swags with those really skinny icing lines. I've done them in person with icing, and that is much easier, I will say, than trying to do this on the nail. I think I made a mistake by actually wiping off the tacky layer. The surface then was so smooth that the clays didn't really want to stick to them. So I think maybe if you put down like some foil glue or have some sort of tacky layer, it would make this process easier just because those little strands were trying to move around a little bit too much on me. But once I got them into place and cured them, I was so happy with the final result. I think it looks so cute. For the centerpiece, I wasn't sure which bow I wanted to go with, but I opted for a smaller one so that you could really focus on the icing look. So I just took the little bow and I glued it on with my IV Fix Gel once I had a placement that I was happy with. Of course, I used my favorite flash curing lamp. This is the Diami Flash Cure, the pin cure lamp. It's so powerful. And then this was the part that gave me the most trouble out of this whole set. This was doing the little like vintage frosting border. Now, I know you can buy molds for this, and I really had wanted to, but I just knew they wouldn't arrive in time. You can get them off of like Temu, AliExpress, whatnot. I guess I didn't check Amazon, but I also thought maybe I wanted to challenge myself with making these by hand. And so I rolled out 2 logs. I wanted 3 on each side, and so I tried to split the logs evenly into 3 sections and then round them out. Here I'm making them into like a little teardrop shape before sticking them onto the nail. Now, the original method that I tried was just taking the palette knife or just something with a sharp edge and creating the indents in the dollop before curing it. And I didn't think this effect was as impactful as I had wanted it. It was definitely easy to do, but I really wanted those grooves to stand out, so I decided to do the same method I used for the frosting on the pinky finger. I placed down my teardrop shape, made sure it was in the position I wanted, cured it, and then I'm going in with that same Devoc texture gel, and I am just painting those grooves onto the nail instead. You can think of these like the little raised points. I don't think this first one came out very good, but I just ran with it, and by the end, I do think it started looking pretty nice. I kind of got into the groove, I got a hang of it. So I'm just working one by one, shaping that 3D gel, sticking it on the nail, and making sure it was in the shape that I wanted. And then I switched here actually to a skinnier brush. This is the Diami Small Liner. It is one of my favorites. It's so tiny, so even with that really thick texture gel, I'm able to get pretty good definition. And yeah, I think it's so funny to me to watch this back because you can clearly see that the first one it's okay, but it's not as neat, not as tidy. And then by the 6th one, I definitely had figured out what I was doing. It's looking a lot more clean, a lot more close to what I wanted in the first place. And that's part of the reason that I like having this channel is it really started as a way for me to document my journey as a nail artist and save techniques for myself, quite honestly, that I might want to revisit in the future and just keep a place for me to, in a lot of ways, learn from my mistakes. So it does really warm my heart that so many people are enjoying seeing my work and just being part of the nail community here. I absolutely love getting to chat with you guys in comments on my Discord and whatnot. I really cannot believe I'm saying this, but I recently hit 5,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you all enough because it really is this amazing community that lets me do something that I really do love and am passionate about. And for me, that's really important in life. And so just thank you again. I hope you all know how much I appreciate every single one of you who watches, who interacts with my videos. And I will stop being sappy for now, even though it is Valentine's Day, and let's get into the last bit, which is charms and the painted details. So for the thumbnail, I knew I had wanted a bow and a heart. The original charm I was going to use, though, had gold on it, so I had to make my own. First off, though, we need to top coat this nail. Look at that gorgeous shine from the gemstone collection once you add that topper. It's just so pretty. And then I paint on a little bit of my IV Fix Gel, and I attach the bow. I hold that in place with some tweezers, give it a good flash curing before full curing, and then I paint some of that Fix Gel just in the center in a thick layer, and then I attach this cute little heart frame that I got some time ago. I'll try to remember to link the charms, sometimes I forget them, so if I do, please just leave a comment and I'll try to get you the links. Once that is in place, I'm just filling the center of that heart with the IV Fix Gel just to create a base layer. Because it's thick enough, it created like a nice surface to work on. I full cure that, And then I'm going in with that RM03, the Rosy Hip Magnetic Gel, and I'm just painting over the cured layer, and it creates almost like a fake gem in the center of the heart. You just magnetize the gel and fully cure it, and then you have your own custom heart bow charm. And then for the white details, I just go in with that same Divock canvas gel. Once more, in hindsight, I would probably choose to use like an actual white liner gel for this. I thought I wanted kind of like the frosting texture for this pattern from the Divock canvas gel, but I end up painting over it with clear anyway, so yeah, I would probably just use a white painting gel in the future. Once that's done, I'm going in and I'm top coating the heart. I don't show it, but I do add a layer of 3D gel onto this as well, just to make it pop, but I forgot to film it. Anyway, I thought that this nail wasn't tying in as well to the cake theme as the others were, and so I do just go in and add a few little frosting dollops using the same method. I add the little dollops of the 3D clay, cure them, and then paint on the ridges using the Divock canvas gel. These definitely came out better than some of the previous ones because I learned from my experience with the others. It was, however, hard to maneuver around the charms, so I would probably recommend making them off the nail and then just gluing them onto the nail. But for the middle finger, I wanted to use this little angel charm here. I only had one, so I applied it with my Ivy Fix gel, and I have a gripe with this. I love the Ivy Fix gel texture, I love the product itself, but this tube form, it just leaks into the cap and I get this mess. And so I'm hoping that in future iterations, they fix the packaging because it's not the formula that's a problem at all. It's just the packaging in this tube form, which is a shame because I actually really like the tube form. It has such a nice small nozzle for really detailed application, but I just maybe can't recommend it right now with the state that it's in where it leaks. I would go for the jar. Anyway, back to the nail art. This is a Sweetie Nail Supply Liner 2, and I am just going to be using this to paint on the metallic details. Now, originally I used my Vendini metal painting gel. This is honestly such a nice budget option. You can see here it's quite a thick consistency, so the lines stay in place, they don't move around much, and it has a pretty decent shine. However, as I was painting it on, I was realizing that it was quite a cool toned silver, whereas in the Flower Nose Compact and the charms that I used, the silver was a little bit more either neutral toned or warm toned. So I pried off the charm and I started it all over again. I repainted the nail and then I'm using the May Mode Matte Art Gel. This stuff is so great for chrome isolation, also pencil artwork. It's not a topper, but truly like an art gel that's meant to be used for various application methods. It's really thick, so I try to keep the layer pretty thin, otherwise it can potentially cloud the color underneath. And it is a wipe gel, so you have to make sure to cleanse it before applying your chrome or your art or whatever. So here I'm using the Cocoist non-wipe accessory bond in white, and I'm just redoing the same sort of pattern. This stuff is quite thick, and I think it's because it's meant to double as, well, like it says, an accessory bond, so you could potentially use it around gemstones and then cover the bonding areas with chrome and create like your own metallic charms and whatnot. I'm not sure if that's the intended use case, but I definitely would be interested in trying it out. But I'm just finishing up the design here with a few little dots and then letting everything settle and self-level just a little bit before curing for 30 seconds. Now, to get the perfect mix of like silver and warm tones, I'm actually going in with the Nail Bio Gold and doing just a light brushing over first before I go in with the silver. I didn't even dip the eyeshadow applicator into the powder. I'm just using whatever is left over from the last time I applied it. And then I go in with a good amount of the silver chrome powder and burnish that in over the gold. And it just gave me this perfect like warm tone silver that wasn't too gold, but also it wasn't that really cool sort of like deeper silver of the other nail. You can see the difference here. It also is quite a bit shinier than the Vendini. More work, but in my opinion, I was happy with the outcome. And then I'm just using that Ivy Fix gel to glue the angel charm back onto the nail. This time, since I know it is there to stay, I'm going to flash cure it and then use that same Ivy Fix gel on a liner brush and just paint around the edges to really seal it in and make sure it's not going anywhere. If you are worried about charms getting stuck in your hair or on clothing, then I definitely recommend this method of sealing in your charms. Use a thick gel, go around the perimeter, and then top coat everything after, and that will get rid of any snagging opportunities. And that's basically it for the set. I just need to go in and top coat all of the other nails. So I'm using that Mayo glass top, just going over the spots that were not covered in the texture gel. I wanted those ones to remain matte and have kind of like that contrast in finishes. Now I did have to go over the frosting swirls here. I think in the future I would maybe top coat first and then add the 3D elements so I didn't have to seal them in with the top coat, or maybe apply like the matte gel over top of the frosting to give that distinct look. But overall, I still think it looks nice. And I really like how the like jelly 3D gels look with that top coat on them. So juicy, just like fruit jam. And that is actually the finished design. I would love to know what you all think down in the comments. Have you tried the cake nail trend? What did you find was the easiest technique for doing like the frosting look? I do like the hand painted effect here, but I definitely think I will be investing in a 3D mold just to make my life easier, because that whole process probably took an hour and a half out of this like 6-hour design that I made. But I do feel like I learned a lot, and overall I am very pleased with the results. If you want to try out any of these techniques, I do have everything linked in the description, and I'd love to see your creations if you'd like to tag me in any that you might post. I also have a code with Sweetie Nail Supply if you would like to support me and buy yourself some fun nail stuff at the same time. But I just want to thank everybody once again for being here, for checking out my videos. I hope you are having a wonderful Valentine's Day weekend wherever you are, and I will see you all next time. Bye!